Hello everyone, I'm San Tanaka. Nice to meet you. Today, I would like to introduce a tool called Whisper Speech, which can convert text into speech. This tool is easy to operate directly in your browser, making it accessible to anyone. In the previous video, I demonstrated how to achieve this using Jupyter Notebook. This was very challenging as there were no resources available, but this time it seems relatively easy to achieve thanks to the information available on GitHub. Before we dive into the practical part, I will briefly explain what Whisper Speech is. Let's get started. One of the main features of Whisper Speech is that it can do things like what is shown in the video.
But it's true that this tool can clone a person's voice, right?
Oh, Samugi. Well, I won't go too deep into that, but it's a fact that it can be done. Additionally, even when using the same text, the results can differ each time you generate the audio. These differences can include variations in sound quality or tempo.
So the results differ each time because it's AI?
Actually, I used to think the same, but it seems that's not the case. To put it simply, here is what's going on. For a more detailed explanation, please check the link in the video description. If you and are interested, feel free to take a look.
I see, so that's the reason. I've learned something new.
Now, let's move on to the practical part. First, when we check the instructions on the page, it says that FFmpeg installation is required. From the installation command, it's clear that it won't work well in a Python virtual environment on Windows. Therefore, it is appropriate to use either WSL or a real Linux environment. In this video, I'll be using WSL, and the operations will be done in VS Code.
How about using a virtual machine?
Yes, since I want to use the GPU, I think Linux on Proxmox, which allows each GPU pass-through, would work fine. The following settings are for overriding a specific graphics version when using an AMD GPU. However, since the video uses an NVIDIA GPU, these settings are not necessary. Also, specifying the Python version is important. The specified version is already installed, but I'll double check just in case.
It's important to read the instructions carefully. The preparation is quite demanding.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, you'll face challenges later on. It seems the version is slightly different. I'll handle that later, but first, let's clone the repository. Once the clone is complete, a directory will be created, and you will need to navigate to it. While in this directory, you will switch the Python version to the specified one. I have previously released a video explaining how to switch versions, with instructions for both Windows and Linux. Feel free to check it out if you had like.
The good thing about this tool is that you can set it up only for that directory, right?
Yes, and the fact that it doesn't affect the system is another great point. Right now, I am installing the specified Python version. Then, I'll configure it to only apply to this directory. Let's double check to make sure the setup is successful. And yes, it is being set to the recommended Python version from the GitHub page. Next, it is a good idea to create a Python virtual environment to prevent the system from becoming messy.
This method is so convenient that I use it frequently. Since this world is a virtual reality, it's only natural that it's convenient, right?
Well, I am not sure about that, but I will activate the virtual environment. Once it is activated, I will install ffmpeg. This command cannot be used in a virtual environment on Windows itself, so I use WSL instead. Since I want to use the GPU, I will also install CUDA 12.1 and its dependencies. Oh, and a rocket?
It looks like you've simply mistyped the command.
Oops, my apologies. That is strange. I thought I copied it directly from GitHub. I have figured it out. It is a typo.
Well, everyone makes mistakes, right?
Exactly. I have then made mistakes several times in the videos as well. The installation is now complete up to this point. Finally, let us run the script and check if everything is working.
This is amazing. You can operate it through a browser just like Stable Diffusion.
Yes, I will prepare a sample audio and input some text to test it. I will use my own voice for the sample.
皆さん、こんにちは。田中さんです。よろしくお願いします。
For the text, I plan to input a relatively long passage in English. I will use the model that is set as the default.
Hi there. Thank you for matching with me. I noticed you enjoy visiting museums, galleries, and historical sites. That sounds fascinating. Have you visited any interesting places recently? I'm always keen to learn new things, especially when it comes to how technology intersects with history and culture.
Oh, so it's okay to use Japanese audio as a sample as well.
It seems so. And that concludes our introduction to whisper speech, which generates speech from text. Why don't you give it a try too? See you next time. Goodbye.